Hi, and thank you for watching us here at Tax Talk UK, where we talk about all things tax and consider other important aspects of working for yourself, being self-employed, running a small business. So today, as part of our bite-sized series of QuickBooks demonstrations, helping you to get the best out of your QuickBooks software, I'm going to talk about guessing of transactions. That is not us guessing, that is the function name within the software. So before I talk about that, if I could please ask you to take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll easily be able to refer back to this information if you need to, and also have access to other information that we have on a whole host of different topics, all aimed at supporting you in your self-employment. And if you navigate to the playlist section of our YouTube channel, you will see in there, you will see the QuickBooks guidance, and you will be able to access the whole series of our bite-size demos. So back then to guessing of transactions. What is this? When do we use it? How does it work? And what to look for? So to show this, I'm going to hop into the demo version of our QuickBooks software. So here we are on the demo company. So if I just pop into one of our bank accounts, you can see that we have some transactions to allocate. And if we scroll down these, you will see that some of the items have green writing next to them and some green banners. And this is the function called guessing of transactions. So the important thing to remember is that it is guessing, and this is QuickBooks, the software, trying to help you with your entries. So it's trying to learn from what you have allocated previously and what those transactions may need to be categorized for. But one of the important things to say is that it is a guess. Of course, the more transactions that you have of a certain category, the more repetitive a transaction is, the more opportunity there is for QuickBooks to learn that. But it is still important that you do review and you do ensure that that is correct, and you do kind of take it in the spirit that it's meant to be, that it's a facility, a function that's there to help you, but it's something that still does need you to cast your eyes over first. So you can see here, for example, that on this income here, QuickBooks has thought that it knows what this money has been received for. So if we just actually click on that item line, then it opens up and we can see more detail. So this, for example, allows us to see the bank detail line. So that is the description that you would see if you were actually looking at your bank statement. So this is important because this is what actually is on the bank and the description of what the money's for. It then shows us in blue what the invoice is, and again, that is important. So the blue is what is in QuickBooks. What we can do is, if we wanted to, we could click on that invoice. And if we sort of had a query as to whether that was the correct, we wanted to check something, then we can open up that invoice to see it. And then also it may be that that's not the correct invoice, and we want to find the correct invoice, and then we would click find other matches, and that would give us any other matches, which in this scenario there aren't any other invoices that it considers it to be, but it would give us the list of any other invoices, not only matching that customer and amount, it would show us all of the open invoices. one thing that's important here is it will default to a certain time frame. So at the top, if, for example, somebody was paying quite an old invoice, it could be that it's excluded from the list just because it's old. So if we sort of change the date older, now you can see more invoices are displayed. So that is something that is quite common to think that you can't see an invoice and it's just because it's before the date. So you can see now we could select, if it was a different invoice, we would just select the one that it was relating to. So, but perhaps in this scenario, it's not payment of an invoice. Perhaps it is an actual petty cash transfer, or perhaps it was a different income category. So if it was we wanted to categorize directly from the bank and it wasn't something that we'd raised an invoice for, we would select categorize, and then this would bring us to the screen where we could categorize that in the same way as we would ordinarily do. And we can also click record as transfer. So in this scenario, let's imagine that it is transferred from the petty cash and it isn't a payment of that invoice. And therefore we would be able to add that transaction. So we do have some gremlins in our QuickBooks software today that do happen from time to time. So let's move on then to the rules. So you can see if we scroll further down, you can see that we've got our normal items awaiting to be categorized. But on this item here, we actually have the writing is in green. So what that is suggesting is that QuickBooks is trying to help you, and it's saying, I think that I know what this might be for. So again, we can click on the item to be able to see, we can to see the full detail and make sure that is correct before we hit add. But the other thing to mention here, we can change it if there is anything that's not correct, is that you'll see the little green button before that says rule. And what that is telling you is that a rule has been set up for this transaction. So if we navigate to the rules section, this helps us to see which rules there are. And one thing to mention is if the rule name starts with suggested, then it means that it's a rule that has been suggested from QuickBooks and not one that you've set up yourself. And again, that is important because that is a suggestion by QuickBooks and you should check it's correct. So if you see one that says it's a suggested rule, then you should check that you are happy with it, and then you should edit here and remove the name suggested so that you know that it is a rule that you have set up. So you can see here, if you look in the rule details, it will show you what the rules to apply to, when it should apply, and then what happens. So you're saying money in or out of a certain or all bank accounts, and then there's various conditions that you can set. And then you're saying what happens. So how does that get categorized? An important thing to mention at the bottom of here, automatically confirmed transactions, means you don't get the chance to review it. So generally speaking, I would advise not to have that turned on because you always really want to see the transactions from the bank feed and what's happening to them. The test rule allows you to just check that you have set that up correctly. So you can see this rule will apply to one currently unreviewed transaction. So that will help you to just to see whether you may have set that up correctly. So if you, for example, have a rule that you want to apply, so let's click on this transaction here. email service. Let's say, for example, that is something that is a recurring item, and so we want to have a rule, so we don't want to have to remember each time, and we want QuickBooks to know this. So we could get to the rule function by clicking here, create a rule. And so we would fill in the details. So we would call a name for the rule. It doesn't matter what the name is, it's something that's relevant to you. Money out, and we're going to have this coming from the current account, and we want the bank text to say email service, and in that scenario that is going to be a subscription, and there is going to be no VAT on that. And I'm going to check, I'm going to uncheck the auto add because I want to be looking at that, and I am going to save. And now you can see if we go back to the bank feed, then this has helped the function within QuickBooks, because now it's suggesting what this transaction should be for. And as you, with your own accounts, you will know better, because you will recognize the transaction. So you may look at that and you may think, yes, I'm absolutely happy to click on that, or you may just want to open up the transaction. What I always suggest is that it's far easier to take a moment to review things in this screen rather than clicking add too quickly, at which point it kind of dissipates into the accounts, and it can be much harder if you then have made a mistake, or you didn't check something properly before. You've then got to sort of correct that. So hopefully this helps you to understand what the sort of highlighted green items mean when you're allocating your transactions from your bank feed, how the rules work, what the different things mean, and what to be aware of. And as I said previously, and I will reiterate, it is a guest function. It is the software trying to help you, but you must check yourself. It's really important that you do make sure that that transaction is going to absolutely the right place in the account. And it's far easier to check it at this stage rather than if you send it to the wrong place in the accounts. So hopefully that has been helpful. Please do like the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.